You're listening to a download from the outdoorstation.co.uk.
Number 344.
Hello and welcome back to the Outdoor Station on what is, well, hopefully the start of a glorious spring into summer. The sun is shining, the sky is blue, the grass is green, the birds are singing, and everything is suddenly all right with the world. Gone is the memory of drought and bad news, and now we're all suddenly thinking about escaping at the weekend and enjoying the great outdoors. Now, a special hello also goes out to our new executive producer, who is William Goodrich from Doylestown in Ohio. Now, William has made a donation to our running costs via PayPal, and our way of saying thank you is to make him temporary executive producer for the next couple of podcasts. If you're interested in becoming one and having your name down in podcast history, details will follow later. While I was away in March, Andy certainly prized open the biscuit tin and spent the entire budget in travelling around and speaking to people at various events. In this podcast, he visits London for an exotic book launch, and later on, he whets his appetite for more exotic outdoor travelling adventures.
I'm at the famous Stamford's Maps and Bookshop in the heart of London's Charing Cross for the launch of a new book from Kev Reynolds. And the launch of any new book from Kev is always a very special event, and I have the man with me here. Kev, you're looking well and fit.
Thanks, yeah, I'm feeling really up for it today.
Good. So, and it's quite nice because there's a note on the Cicerone website at the moment about people writing in saying, does Kev Reynolds really exist? So it's nice to be able to say to him, yes, you do.
Yeah, and my wife is over there. She'll confirm that I am the Kev Reynolds.
Sadly, he does exist, yeah. I'm not so sure about Paddy Dillon, though. I think he might be a funny fragment of my imagination. Really.
Well, I once saw the back end of Paddy disappearing over a mountain. He wasn't seen for another 8 months. So, yeah, he was working out another 6 books, I think.
Yeah, I've just been asking Jonathan where he is at the moment, and he's lost track of him. Anyway, so this book is is one of the new World Mountain Range series, which I think are fabulous books. I describe them as the Cicerone house brick books because they're about the size and the weight of one of those. So that these aren't the things you sling in a rucksack. These are reference guides, really. Yeah,
that's what it was designed for. I came up with the idea for this series a number of years ago. It seemed to me that we're well set up with walking guides, climbing guides. But if you've never been to a particular area and you want to know in advance, where do I go? Particularly in a range like, well, the Swiss Alps or the Pyrenees, for example. There are so many different regions to choose from. And if you've never been, you wonder, well, what's where? And you can spend an awful long time making mistakes, travelling around to places that don't quite suit.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's how I started, making lots of mistakes. But, so I thought, let's put a book together that covers the whole range from the walker's point of view, the trekker's point of view, the climber's point of view, and the ski mountaineering point of view. Activity. It means a lot of research, of course, but it's wonderful because it gives me the finest of all excuses to spend weeks, months, almost years.
Because you've had a life's relationship with the Alps, really.
Yeah, I first went to Switzerland, the Swiss Alps, 45 years ago, something like that. Fell in love with them and went home after just a fortnight's holiday. Went home, discussed our future with my then fiancée, threw up my job, left my fiancée behind and went off to work in Switzerland just because the mountains look so wonderful.
Yeah, there's a lot of us who fantasised about that but haven't quite had the courage to do it.
Well, I think the real courage came from my then fiancée who said, yeah, go for it and let's see how things pan out. And, well, that was it. I mean, I came back 2 weeks before we got married. She did all the organising and then we both went back to Switzerland again. And since then, obviously we spent most of our life over here, but I've been going back to the Alps every summer since then, sometimes on numerous occasions, to walk, to climb, to devise long-distance routes and to do research for the books. And I think this is about the 14th book I've written on different parts of Switzerland. And a number of others on different parts of the Alps elsewhere, the French, Austrian Alps and so forth.
Now this is, as we said, this isn't a guidebook per se, and now I have to confess, I've always found Switzerland a bit of a scary place. It's very hygienic and it's very ordered. I was about to say, neither of which I am, but I think I'm certainly not ordered. But take us through how you'd use this, because I've used the Pyrenees book and now the Scotland book in the same series. And I just find they make such a difference when you're looking to get off the beaten track just a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's it. What I've done here, I've started in the west, in what I call the Chablais Alps. There's no such thing, in truth, as the Chablais Alps. But the Chablais region, which is just south of Lake of Geneva, it's only a small region, but I wanted to separate that from the Pennine Alps and the Bernese Alps, the other side of the Rhone Valley, and then work my way round valley to valley, over the passes, looking at the mountains. So we have included in here, obviously, all the famous places, but you've got to read through it and you'll find that there are all these unfamiliar places. I mean, I've been blessed in going to Switzerland for so many years that I've found that even in the ultra-fashionable place like Zermatt, for example, you can still walk for hours in the middle of the summer and see nobody. Now, this book will tell you where to go for these places, not just Zermatt, of course, but anywhere in the Alps. I mean, there are some of my favourite places are those that nobody else bothers to go with. The Ratican, the Silvretta regions like that, and they're fabulous. Albula Alps. Do you know where the Albula Alps are?
No
well,
idea.
So you need a copy of this book to show you.
Okay. It took you a while to get around to that, didn't it? I mean, one of the things I've found about these books is there's a real art in producing them, isn't there? Because it just gives you just enough to be really useful in deciding, is that a place I want to go to or not? But it tells you about the travel, the routes in, how long it's going to take to get there, good idea of what the accommodation is like. But actually writing with that kind of brevity and comprehensive nature, it's quite a challenge, I guess.
Well, the challenge, of course, is to get all that information within a reasonable sized book. And there's an awful lot more that could be said about this, but I've still got to leave enough for the reader to experience for himself.
Yeah, there's a sense of discovery.
That's right, to go off and say, wow, he never mentioned this in the book, but this is giving me something really exciting to do and to see. That's what I want out of this. I want to tease people into some of these wonderful places and then say, OK, now go off and explore on your own.
Well, I can say from certainly reading the Pyrenees books, that you do tease people into doing things, because you sit on those long, cold winter nights browsing through that bad thing. Ooh, yeah, the last time I was there was rushed off to an area of the Pyrenees I've not been to before. So I hope this is going to be just as successful as those others, because you just by skimping through it, you can see how much work and love has gone into it, I guess.
I took 6 years to write it, from the time I signed the contract to actually finishing it. Dear old Jonathan, he's been very patient with me, but I blame him for some of the delays, of course. But Cicerone themselves have made a fabulous job of it. I mean, I know my name is on the cover, and I've put the words together and provided the photographs. But to put the whole thing in such an attractive package like this is down to the terrific people.
I've said before, the design team at Cicerone at the moment should be winning prizes left, right and centre, if they're not.
No, I agree, and I'm delighted that we've got Claire here tonight, Claire Crook, who designed this book with great love and devotion. And I say this book is hers as much as it is mine.
Okay, well, if the Alps is your thing, or you fancy going there, I reckon this has got to be a starting point, because there's nothing quite like these mountain range guides, are there? It's filling a niche in the market, I think.
I hope so. I've not seen anything elsewhere, which is why I wanted to do it in the first place. Okay,
well, just a few words before you get on to your public, who are massing around us as we speak, and the Kev groupettes are here as well. What else are you up to at the moment? Because that's always an interesting question to ask you.
Well, I'm just starting work on, you may have seen my Trekking in the Alps book that came out last year and won the Guidebook of the Year award, which was terrific.
That. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, we're now working on Trekking in the Himalaya, which will be 20 routes right from Pakistan right across to Bhutan, and I have no doubt that Cicerone will make a damn good production of that. And I've started work on that. I've got some other great writers to present a few chapters for me on places I haven't been to. It's going to be a fabulous book, and the excitement I get each morning when I run along the corridor from my bedroom to the so-called office and start work. I mean, it's great. I get as excited about writing about these places as I do when I'm in them.
That's one of the nice things about the enthusiasm. But in terms of travel, what's on the itinerary this year?
I've got two. Well, I'm leading a group in Ladakh for Mountain Kingdoms in July. I'm leading a private group out to a remote region of Nepal, Mugu, in late October. I've got some more trips to the Alps lined up, and I'm hoping to be able to squeeze a quick trip down into the Pyrenees. But that'll do for a start. And it looks as though it's another year without a holiday.
Keeps you out of mystery. mystery. Yeah. No, that's Paddy Dillon. It keeps you out of mischief, isn't it? Well, Kev, it's another wonderful book, and congratulations to you and the team. As somebody that uses them, they really are invaluable. So
thanks, Andy.
Roll on the next one.
Indeed. Thanks a lot.
Okay, well, I'll let you get back onto the public. And I see there's even a wine glass or two appeared.
Yeah. Bit empty at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, good luck for the rest of the year, Kev.
Thanks, Andy. All the best.
With over 1 million listeners worldwide, The Outdoors Station is the leading online audio resource for those into the great outdoors.
The Swiss Alps book by Kev Reynolds is, of course, available direct from Cicerone Press, and direct links to that book can be found on theoutdoorsStation.co.uk, along with the other show notes relating to this podcast. And now Andy gets a bit more tempted to travel further afield and do something a little bit more exotic.
Many outdoor enthusiasts dream of turning their passion into a full-time career, though few of us manage to achieve these ambitions. Christy Acton, however, is a man who has recently established his own specialist tour company, Monobo Adventures. Innovation is key to a company like Monobo, hoping to establish itself in an already crowded market, and Christy has scouted out some new destinations and put a new twist on some old favourites. I sat down with Christy recently to ask him about his future plans for Monobo, to talk about some of these new destinations, and I started by asking him just how this passion for the great outdoors began.
I realised I was first into the great outdoors, I think when I was about 13 years old, and went on a school trip, a 2-week holiday to Scotland, to Fort William, and we did a few walks in the Glencoe Valley, and that was when I first realised I had really enjoyed hanging out in the mountains, getting to the top, and just being in the mountains. And ever since, really, just tried to spend as much of my time out in the mountains, and it's where I really feel where I should be, and just want to share that experience with as many people as possible.
Now, last year was a big year for you. It was the year in which you set up Monobo Adventures, and I guess this means you're working towards that point where you can make a transition from being an outdoor enthusiast to somebody who generates the majority of their income by being an outdoor professional.
Yeah, we hope it's the big break. That's the intention. It has been difficult trying to set it up at the same time as doing a normal day job. For the last 6 months, really, well, a bit longer, really. We've been working sort of every hour in the evenings and at the weekends to set everything up, put the trips together, go and recce them to check that they're top draw trips, and then start to publicise what we're providing. So obviously with the website and other promotion, it's been hectic, but we're really enjoying the challenge, and looking forward to take some trips.
Some of your destinations will be very familiar to listeners, albeit with a new twist, but some of them are very different, and the one that catches my eye is Kyrgyzstan. And I wonder how on earth you discovered that as a trekking destination in the first place.
The first thing about Kyrgyzstan is learning about how to say it. And when we went when we went there, it took us a few days to get to know that. But it's a fantastic place. It's in Central Asia, sort of a little bit north, probably about 500 miles north of Afghanistan, just to the west of China, and obviously surrounded by the other stands. But it's just an incredible place. It's full of mountains, but it's just empty. It's just nobody there, and just some beautiful scenery, and the people. The most special bit of Kyrgyzstan are really warm, friendly people from Kyrgyzstan, and we've been out there a few times now, and it's just so much to explore, so much potential, and the number of people visiting from Europe, from America is, I think you're talking about hundreds per year. It's really undiscovered. So we've had a great time putting together a 2-week itinerary there.
And I believe the local people of Kyrgyzstan are nomads.
Yeah, it's fascinating to learn about the history of the people there. They up until recently were under Russian control, and so in the cities and the towns they speak Russian, and then more recently have become an independent state, and so the Kyrgyz language is growing in popularity, and in the villages away from the cities, Kyrgyz is the number one language. So when you get there as a traveller, there's 2 separate languages happening all the time. So you need to, if you really want to get a feel for the place, to understand both languages, which is quite a challenge. But the history of the people and the travelling of the people in terms of farmers with their livestock having to move up and down the mountains is fascinating. So in the summer, they'll move up into they're called Jalus, the mountain meadows, and then in the winter they move down into the valley for the cold winter. So the way of life of the people there is fascinating in its own right.
So how were you attracted to Kyrgyzstan in the first place?
Well, both my wife and myself are both fascinated by places that are a little bit off the beaten track, and we wanted a holiday where we found somewhere that had lots of potential, and it did take us a while to dig through on the internet and through books to find the right place, but Kyrgyzstan hit the spot. It was a place where we could explore ourselves and put together a great itinerary for some other people to come with us.
Yeah, I've been interested in nomadic cultures from Central Asia for a long time now, and this trek has really caught my imagination, and it looks very exciting.
The itinerary we've put together is hopefully a really good mix of activities, and also in meeting and getting to know some of the local people. So we've put together some trekking, 3 or 4 days of trekking into the mountains with some wild camping to boot. So we walk out for about 3 or 4 days into a mountain range, a fantastic mountain range. Mountain bikes are a great way of travelling through Kyrgyzstan, because obviously you can cover quite a lot of distance and see that much more. So we've got a few days where we use the tracks to get through some of the mountains on mountain bikes. And then there's horses. There's obviously a huge number of wild horses in Kyrgyzstan, and horses that have been trained too. So we've got a couple of days where we travel by horse up the mountains into a fantastic place called Songkol, which is a lake at 3,000 metres. So we use a range of transport. But then the other important part of the trip is spending time with the local people. So we stay in yurts at times in the mountains. As I've mentioned, the camping, but there's also homestays because Kyrgyzstan is so underdeveloped in terms of tourism. There are no, apart from in the capital in Bishkek, there are no hotels, and so in certain places we stay with families in their homes, in the rooms that they prepared, and it's a great way to get a real feel for the local culture and to really meet some real local people.
This way of life has existed for thousands of years, hasn't it? You know, the nomadic movement of cattle and people from the lower pastures to the higher summer grounds. Do we really get to experience this on the trek?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So when for a couple of days, when we're on the horses, we'll travel up on the horses up to into these jailus, these mountain pastures, and stay in a yurt with a family there. And next to the yurt, they have their livestock, which they're obviously tending, making sure they're healthy and safe. And staying in the yurt, you get a real feel for their lifestyle and their sort of day-to-day lives, and obviously get to know these people who explain about how they, when the weather gets a bit colder, they head down into the valleys for the next 6 months. So it's fascinating stuff.
Now, there's obviously a lot to see and explore. So how long does the trek take? Well,
this particular itinerary for Kyrgyzstan is a 15-day 2-week trip. So we leave we fly out from London on the Saturday morning and we return the Sunday 2 weeks later. So 2 weeks is obviously it's always great to have more time, but we feel that 2 weeks gives a really great introduction to the place, and we get to travel around some of the different parts of the country and get some great experiences in that 2-week holiday.
Just how fit do I have to be? How experienced do I have to be to get the most out of this trek?
Yeah, I mean, we're not. There's nothing technical within it. So long as you've got a reasonable level of fitness and you like to walk in the hills and the mountains in the UK, that's plenty sufficient. Because it's not about, as I say, being technical. It's just about enjoying the fantastic scenery.
I guess it's difficult for a small company to break through into a very established market, but destinations like Kyrgyzstan, I guess, will become your own USP.
Yeah, that's been our thinking. I mean, we've got some other trips in Scotland and Wales, and hopefully they're a slightly different take on some trips that are out there. But the niche that Monobo is trying to fill is going to some places which are a little bit more obscure, a little bit more unexpected. And when we're looking forward to future trips, that's what we're looking for. We're looking to take people to places which a little bit less run-of-the-mill than some of the adventure companies take people to, and coming up with a portfolio of places for itineraries which really are a little bit different for those people that are looking for that holiday that will make its mark and give them an experience that they won't forget.
Okay, well, there's lots of information on Kyrgyzstan on the website, and I'd encourage everyone to go and have a look at that. Now, you mentioned a couple of other destinations, Wales and Scotland, that are obviously much more familiar to us, but there are nice little twists here. So the Scottish trip focuses on that wonderfully magical land that's still relatively unknown, just north of Ullapool.
Yeah, so we've got a week's trip, and we're calling it Wild Walking in Assynt. I've been travelling to Assynt for 15 years now, regularly visiting Assynt, and it's that whole area for me has a real specialness to it, and I'm very excited about putting a trip together where I can take some people to the little nooks and crannies of this amazing area. Just it's about 50, 100 miles north of Ullapool, around the village, the fishing village of Lochimber. So we've put together this 7-day walking holiday around Lochimber and Assynt, and we think it's got some really interesting aspects to the trip. That we know that there are a number of adventure companies that do walking trips there, but we think we've got a really exciting 7-day experience for people there.
The Welsh trip is interesting because it focuses on mountain biking, but yet I think will encourage a lot of mountain bikers to take their bike trekking to another level.
Yeah, well, that's although lots of people obviously travel on their holidays to Wales, I think we've put this trip together, which is a mountain biking coast to coast trip from Cardiff in the south up to Llandudno. Again, it's a 7-day holiday. And we're really excited about this trip because mountain biking in Wales is really growing. In the last 10, 15 years, there's so many places, so many centres now in Wales where people can go mountain biking. But as far as I know, there isn't, as so far until our trip, there is no long distance mountain biking trip through the whole of the country. So we've had a great fun putting this trip together, going out on recce's, picking the best bits and trying to fit them together into one long 7-day adventure. So we've taken a few of the well-known centres. So we've got Penmachno in the north, and we've got Cwmcarn in the south. We've got obviously the Brecons and Snowdonia in the north. But in between these quite well-known places, there's some fantastic little unknown places, which I think are the most exciting, really. And the Cambrians in the mid Wales, we've found some great routes through some really quiet little spots. So yeah, we're very excited about that itinerary.
Wales is obviously very popular with mountain bikers, but a 7-day continuous trek is obviously going to be very different from just the occasional day out on a mountain bike, and I guess will be very special, if no other reason, because you're travelling through 4 or 5 very distinctly different landscapes.
Yeah, and that's the other part that we're so excited about, is that the very normal thing to do is to go out for a day trip or a weekend to go mountain biking. You pick your start point and you go on the loop and come back to the car when you're finished, which is obviously lots of fun. But by being able to travel from one point to another over a long distance, really brings your mountain bike into a sort of whole new dimension. And to travel, like you say, from Cardiff in the south through a whole range of landscapes and end up on the north coast in Llandudno, it's just a very exciting journey through the fantastic Welsh landscape.
Now, looking at the website earlier on today, I see that your first trip of this year is already sold out. So how, as a small company, are people discovering you? Starting
out, it's been very difficult really to get the message out, but it's an ongoing process. I mean, the website is our central place where we're hoping people will find out about the detail of the trips and what we do. And obviously we're using a whole range of ways to get people to the website. We're using Twitter, which is, I think, proving really successful in spreading the word. We're using Facebook, and we're using the blog on the website, which is, I think, working really well. Writing articles about the destinations we're going to, and getting some real interest in what we're trying to do, and also trying to focus our attention on different markets. So obviously the mountain biking trip in Wales. There are people who visit, for example, the Mountain Biking Wales website and they're a good target audience for that particular trip. So we're trying to focus our attention on the different groups of people that might be interested in these 3 trips and put our energies there.
Now, as the company develops, just how difficult is it going to be to sniff out the other new destinations that are maybe going to give you an advantage? It's going to be quite a challenge, isn't it, balancing trips with research?
Definitely. And part of our plan for the next 3 to 5 years is that we need to obviously build our portfolio of trips. So we have the 3 up as they stand. We'll be adding one in the next few weeks onto the website to Jordan as a new destination. But we need to keep finding these special places that fits the Monobo niche to bring our customers with us. So we're hoping to add 2 more trips, as well as Jordan, 2 more trips this year. So we'll be busy recceing 2 new destinations. And then that over the next 3 to 5 years, we'll build up a list of destinations where we'll be taking our trips, and picking those places is crucial. That we can start to develop a bit of an identity for the adventure company that we're creating.
Well, I wish you luck with that. I think you've already created a lot of interest on the web with Kyrgyzstan. If people want to get in touch with you, I guess they put into Google Monobo Adventures. That's Monobo, Monobo Adventures. But we'll put all the contact details on the Outdoor Station website. And I suppose if people want to get in touch with you, they can even talk to you about creating a customised experience.
Definitely. That's another part of what we're offering. If people are interested in going to some of these places under their own steam, then we can obviously offer our experience to put something tailored to what people are looking for.
Before we go, I'm very interested in the way that you're using social media. We mentioned Twitter earlier on, but do you think that's giving you not only a distinctive approach to your marketing, but something of an edge?
Yeah, I mean, we as starting out, as any business starting out, we don't have lots of money, so we have to try and use ways that are not spending lots of money. So for Twitter, we've been busy on Twitter since the beginning, and it's really been helpful to us. It's been helpful because we've been able to obviously find the kind of people that we think are interested in what we're providing, and then the word has been able to spread from there. So quite regularly we try and put a new blog post up on the website, and then we tell everyone on Twitter that we've got our new post up, and people. We can see it being retweeted, and we can see people responding to it from Twitter. So that seems to be really working, and we hope to keep on pushing with that, and the numbers will keep growing, hopefully.
Well, you've certainly made a good start, and the destinations are very interesting, and I think the way in which you're using social media to get the message across is very innovative and very refreshing. I'm sure we'll speak again. In fact, yes, come back and tell us a bit about how things are going on and about some of the new destinations that you scout out this year.
Great, thank you.
Well, best of luck to Christy there as he develops the business over the next couple of years. That website is really fascinating, and the dossiers that he's put together about the destinations and the trips that are currently on offer are fascinating. There's also a very lively blog written by Christy himself, which is well worth following.
You're listening to the award-winning UK Business Podcaster of the Year.
The home of UK-based audio and video podcasts for lovers of the great outdoors everywhere.
Podcasts are based solely around self-powered travel.
This is the Outdoor Station.
And that website, once again, is monoboadventures.co.uk. And if you're a bit unsure about spelling it, do have a look at theoutdoorstation.co.uk website, where there'll be a direct link to that, the blog, and various other information associated with this podcast. And I must thank, of course, everybody involved here, Kev Reynolds and Christy Acton, as well as Andy for putting this together. And not forgetting our executive producer, William Goodrich. And thanks once again for your donation, William, to helping us keep going the way we do. If you're interested in becoming an executive producer, any donation is more than welcome, of course, towards our ongoing costs. And if you want more information about that, or advertising, or being associated with any of these podcasts, please have a look at the outdoorstation.co.uk website and look at the drop-down menu, advertising and support. Anyway, thanks everybody once again for listening. I hope you've really enjoyed that. I've got a lineup of another 3 or 4 more podcasts to edit and complete, so we'll get those out to you just as soon as we can. Until next time, folks, bye for now.
This independent programme is produced and hosted by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.